Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl Glow. I just actually wanted to come on because I seen all the stuff in the news about New York and the mandates and these healthcare workers potentially losing their jobs or have lost their jobs. So the governor the other day had made the comment that they either get vaccinated or lose their jobs, that they're replaceable and they'll just replace them with retired nurses or the National Guard, or outsource the job. And I find that to be kind of crappy considering nurses for the last year and a half worked in this pandemic with a virus we knew nothing about, and we willingly took that risk with no problems and cared for your loved ones. But now he rose to zeros, right, in a matter of a year and a half. So while we put our lives at risk, that was okay when we knew nothing, right? Okay, so now we have pre-COVID. I'm going to say that. Nursing was already a taxed and stressful profession before COVID. So before COVID ever existed, I had a lot of nurses that I've talked to throughout the years of my nursing career, and I can speak for myself too. We already felt like the nurse to patient ratios were unsafe and that we could not take care of your loved ones like we really knew they needed to be taken care of. Between all the medication passes, between all the treatments, the assessments that have to be done, and all the regulations that are in place from the state and the federal government, they make our jobs almost impossible at times. So you're dealing with an already stressed profession, and then COVID comes on the scene. So an already stressed and overworked profession is just pushed over the edge. So you've had nurses that are completely burnt out and quitting or retiring, leaving the profession completely, or just going to different nursing jobs because what they've been in has caused them burnout. And once you experience that, you have to pretty much just move on. And mind you, they talk about burnout in the nursing field for a reason. I mean, they literally make a topic about it and discuss this, right? And I don't know about you if you are a nurse or maybe you're not, but I take pride in my work and in my job. And when I did bedside and took care of patients, it was huge. And I took responsibility for that person that I was caring for. And I know myself, I never felt like I was doing good enough because you always were, you were so tried every single day to get all your tasks done. And it was exhausting and hard work. And I don't mind hard work. That has nothing to do with it. But when you literally have someone's life in your hands and you're responsible for them and you take pride in doing what you're doing and wanting to do the best job possible, it's hard. It's very hard. And even though, there's Murphy's Law, right? Anything that can happen will. So even though it might not be completely in the forefront of your mind every day that you're taking care of people, it's in the back of your mind about taking care of someone, and that at any moment's time, anything can happen, because it does. And so you've taken this tax profession and COVID comes on the scene and there's burnout and now there's a vaccine in place, right? And you need to get this vaccine or you'll be fired. Now, we know we all have different genetics and things affect us differently. I'll give you 3 examples. I had COVID last year in October. And for me, I lost my taste and smell. My sinuses were a little aggravated, but mild symptoms, okay? I have a really good friend. She took the vaccine in February, and ever since she took this vaccine, her menstrual cycles have been completely all over the board. Every month bleeding multiple times and heavy flows, having to utilize a maxi pad, a tampon. That might be TMI, but I'm giving you the real. And so she has been messed up since she took it. I have another friend who got the vaccine, and she's been sick, and she's sicker than I was since getting it. So you have me who didn't have a vaccine, and my symptoms were very mild. You have a friend that she never got COVID, but she did get the vaccine. Her menstrual cycles have been jacked since. And then another friend who took the vaccine, and her symptoms are way worse than mine ever were. Also, not to mention, since we've worked in this profession, I know that there are people that have been sick and it has affected them tremendously. And I know that I have personal friends who have lost people. I've heard of people that have died from COVID in my own community. So I'm not saying that COVID isn't real and it can't affect you or your loved one in a negative way. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we're all different and it affects us all differently, because I've also seen patients who are 70, 80, 90 years old with barely a symptom and beat this thing like it's nothing. So putting a stamp on a vaccine and saying this is the one thing that is going to help us all, to me, is not accurate. We're not cattle being herded, and we're not all alike. So it would affect us all differently, so there's that. So then you have this mandate being put in place and telling people you're ultimately going to lose your job because you won't get a vaccine that potentially maybe might stop you from going to the hospital or spreading it. But people who are vaccinated can still spread it. They can still contract it. People that are unvaccinated can still get it and spread it. So what is the benefit in all of this? You're saying maybe they might not have to go to the hospital. Well, I know personally that people that are vaccinated have been hospitalized. So that's a lie. So we don't know how it can affect each and every one of us, right? But this is what's being stamped, and we're told we have no choice. The land of the free, and we have no choice about this, right? I'm just very irritated, and I feel for those nurses in New York because it's not just happening there. It's happening all across this country. There are places that are mandating this. The federal government is saying that we will take your Medicare and your Medicaid dollars, and we know that money is the root of all evil. So what are they going to do? That's our tax money, and then they're telling our healthcare providers what they're going to do with it and that they won't get their funding. So you've got all these people, and this governor had even commented and said, retired nurses, they'll just bring them back, the National Guard, and they will outsource our jobs, which we know they'll outsource our jobs because it's been happening in this country for years and years and years. They outsource factory jobs. These big companies have outsourced and went to other countries, less taxes, paying people less. Even for me, when I worked on the insurance side with nursing, I would call and talk to people, and I would ask them where they're from. And they would tell me things like the Philippines or India or wherever, and I actually know that there were two nurses that I know that came from the Philippines during this pandemic, and it was delayed for a short time because of the visas and because of traveling and stuff. So I know that this is happening. And so that's kind of been what they said, is they'll just replace us and use foreigners. And they're going to pay them less, but it'll be more than what they're making from their own country. So they'll take it. And then you have the National Guard. Now, I don't know if everybody who would come in is, medically trained or whatever. Like, I don't know how that works. But there's still months. If you switch and go to a different job today within the hospital, you do a preceptorship for a couple months before you're going to be implemented as a nurse on the floor, right? Plus, we as nurses go through years of training to be able to be educated enough to take care of patients. And even then, you still have years of training that you're learning how to take care of patients. It doesn't just come, you don't get out of school and you're just, boom, automatically, you know how to do this. It's learning. And so the concern is our loved ones, your loved ones will be affected. Now, again, the shortage for nursing before COVID was already taxed and stressed, and now COVID just pushed it over the edge. We are suffering in the nursing field, and people's loved ones are being affected by this. Hospitals, nursing homes, home health companies are not taking on the patients that they once did because they just don't have the staff. So you said you're going to bring back retired nurses. I wonder how many of those nurses that have been retired felt compelled to come back during the pandemic. Why wouldn't they have already just done that? And then you have the National Guards. That's taken away from their families, right? So how long can these people go? Because I don't know. Do they get paid for it? Like, are they volunteer? Like, I don't know how that works, And then you're going to outsource our jobs again. Like the state of this country and what, and this is my question. Are they going to make the people that come over from other countries, are they going to make them vaccinate before going in? I mean, I don't know. We're having people come in at the border and they're not making them get vaccinated. So I don't know, just a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of things that just don't make sense. You know, I don't know. I'm just frustrated and just really irritated by our country and the direction of the management. I just don't know. It's like, don't think for yourself, right? Be people who critically think. Think about things on your own. Take it in, absorb it. Think for yourself, like about what you know it to be. Don't let somebody just spoon feed you or tell you, you know. I don't know. But I feel for these nurses that are in this situation, because it's either lose your job or get a vaccination that we don't know is going to be 100% effective, you know, because we still have years of probably research that need to take place before we know ultimately the effects of this vaccine. So they're still gaining the information. They're still gaining it, and it's not 100% set in stone. And I just truly believe we're all different. Our genetics are different. It'll affect us all differently. And so, you know, if you have a conviction about it, maybe that's God telling you, you know, your genetics wouldn't be good for this. And maybe there's somebody that God's telling to get it. Like, I don't know. I'm not some anti-vaxxer that thinks that, you know, oh, vaccines are bad. I'm not saying that. But this is new. And so we have to do our due diligence and really think about it. Like, is this what's best for me? And I think we should ultimately be able to choose whether or not we want to take something or not. I just do. So I don't know. God doesn't force us to do anything. He doesn't force us to serve him, to love him, nothing. He doesn't force us to do anything. He's given man free will to do as we please. And it's up to us whether or not we choose to serve him, love him, whatever. But he doesn't force us. But we're going to be forced by our government or our employers to potentially take something, you know. It just doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't sit right with me. So shout out to all the nurses out there. I love you guys. Thank you for taking care of sick patients everywhere, and continue to keep that love in your heart and treat those patients like they're your own loved ones. So I love you guys. God bless you. It's your girl Glow. Peace.